What's up, guys? Faruqi Bros here, back with a quick video. Today we're going to be talking about Zack Snyder dropping multiple Snyder Cut images on his Vero, including an image of Darkseid. So before we get into it, let's just quickly introduce ourselves. I'm Editor-in-Chief Shiraz Faruqi, and I'm joined by my brother Zayan.
What's up, guys?
My cousin Umar.
Yo.
And my other cousin Samir.
What's up?
So, like I said, Zack Snyder just dropped one of the biggest images that people have been waiting for, and that's what Darkseid looks like. But we can actually go quickly chronologically. Before he dropped the Darkseid image, he dropped a photo of the Nightmare Sequence between Ray Fisher's Cyborg and I'm assuming Steppenwolf or the mother boxes, and he sees obviously his parents, and Zack Snyder actually said the exact quote. I don't know if anyone has it on them right now.
Nah. Ray Fisher put up the quote.
Ray Fisher put it up
quote was, "My poor broken boy,
yeah.
I can make you whole again, Victor."
Ooh, say it again one more time. I think we got blocked.
He said, "My poor broken boy, I can make you whole again, Victor."
Yo, so that kind of.
Yo, I think his father said that, bro.
Dude, or it's
his mom.
Or whoever's saying it's really Steppenwolf saying it, but using his mom or dad as like that avatar, you know?
Or it's the mother
What
box
the heck,
saying,
bro?
Yeah, or the mother box is talking, you know? Like, it's happening
Can
during
we just say that this is some other shit?
I've been saying, and it's happening during the Nightmare Sequence. Obviously, because in the background of the Nightmare Sequence, he's seeing a perfect world where his body's not injured, his mom is not killed, his dad is right there, and obviously,
Zach actually I'm sorry for interrupting.
Go ahead.
Zach actually replied to a comment under the post, and he said that this is the only image that he put up where the VFX is not done, and that he had like other details that he wanted to put in that weren't put in. But yo, low key, this not done looks better than anything you just seen.
Dude,
that is so true.
And the funny thing is, when people say there's a lot been a debate, they're like, what is a completed Snyder Cut? I think fans will be okay with this, even though the background is a temp shot, meaning they're using the CGI from the Nightmare Sequence of BVS, and then just use the same background, and they just put it behind Ray Fisher's green screen when he was talking to his parents. So, like Zack Snyder said, they're going to add more, but honestly, if let's say people are saying, well, you got to finish the Snyder Cut to release it, it looks fine, honestly.
But that's your mistake, because the discussion is not, will the fans accept a not fully completed version? Is that, will WWB want to release a version
but
that isn't
I'm saying
complete?
it actually looks good. Like, it isn't like, oh yeah, you're watching a PS2 graphics. Like, if it looked like,
Dude, yeah,
it looks watchable. Yeah, it looks watchable. And
but then, what are the constraints? Like, can let's say, can they release an unfinished movie for a limited theatrical release?
No. I think it's very clear. I mean, I think for those who haven't noticed, I spoke to the Ringer for the Snyder Cut movement and talking about what the campaign's all about. And I think it was very clear. No fan, not even one, expects there to be a theatrical release of Justice League. That didn't ever happen. It's going to be a DVD to Blu-ray release, or what the most realistic thing is, now we're in the streaming age, it's going to be dumped, what Clayton has told us as well. It would get dumped on a streaming platform in the future, where it's not about theatrical. There's never been a situation where people go in the theater to watch this movie.
Like, legal wise, is that allowed to release an unfinished product?
And
sell it?
I mean, yeah, it is. It's their product. They can do whatever they want. It's called special features. Throw it in like as a special feature on a streaming service.
Whole movie special feature.
Yes, man. You can. It's a new world, man. Now these days, especially if it means nothing to them, like why don't they just throw it? I'm not saying right now, but whenever it's time, just throw it. You know, like I feel like they don't even think about money anymore. They just want to get the monkey off their back. And I think Zack's trying to make it obvious to them that listen, people want this. But let's get back to the schedule. And that's talking about the film itself, and what Umar's saying is right. It does look good. It does look good. The screenshot looks finished, and there's more to the background of this. Reading off Zack Snyder's comments, and this takes place in the third act, okay, of Justice League. And according to this is a Zack Snyder comment, the Justice League lose to Steppenwolf. I don't know if Superman was there when they lost. Whatever the case is, they lost. Then Flash runs back in time, and that's when in the trailer 1 of Justice League, or one of the few things, when he's screaming Barry while he's holding the mother box, Ray Fisher's Cyborg.
Yeah.
That's the scene. Then when he runs back in time, that jolt of the Speed Force puts Cyborg inside of the mother box, and then he has the sequence. So that's when it takes place. It's been confirmed in this comment of the same post. You guys can check it out on Vero. but he confirmed this is when it takes place. It takes place in the third act. It takes place after the Flash goes back in time really quickly. So this movie would have been crazy, like we were talking about.
Yeah,
It would have been
insane.
it would have been wild and
Freaking nuts.
and right when you thought that okay, that's a big picture. You know, Zach usually does this maybe once every few months. He hits us with another picture, and this time he hits us with a big one. He hits us with Darkseid. Okay, this is actually not really Darkseid yet. He's really Uxas or Uxas. I don't know how you say this guy's name. You know, but he's Darkseid before he got the Omega Force inside of him. You know, before he became the Darkseid we know. You know, like Darkseid is like when he already has the like Infinity Stones for Marvel fans. You know, like he's Thanos with the Infinity Stones. That's when he's Darkseid. But before that, he was Uxas, right? He was this regular guy, very powerful, obviously, like on level with the New Gods, which with the movies coming out, right? And it's probably gonna recast Darkseid and do a new story, but it's the same basic idea, right? So he puts his picture out, and it's gonna be on the screen for viewers on YouTube, and obviously fans went crazy, people in the blogosphere went crazy, we went crazy. So I think. Let's just quickly move around in the room and give us our thoughts. Like, Zion, what did you think about just Darkseid picture? Like, what's your thoughts on it? And yeah, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, for one, I think it's huge. It's huge that we finally get to see Darkseid, or even a certain version of him. I know the picture's kind of blurry; it's hard to see, but just getting the idea of how we're looking at scene, and a lot of people put comparisons up where in that flashback scene of the Great War, it's Steppenwolf standing there in the theatrical cut, when really in Snyder's cut and his original film, it was Darkseid supposed to be standing there, which is insane. And I think it just makes you think about what you could have had, because I don't think there's any plans for Darkseid to ever show up. I mean, he might show up in New Gods, but
I think he has to.
But I mean, in more like a contemporary setting against the Justice League. So I think it's just insane that we actually got to actually see him, and he was rendered or completed somewhat, and. I mean, I think it just creates more drive and more push for the fans, because now it seems even more real and so close.
Yeah, actually, I know. I think New Gods is gonna do like more of a backstory on Darkseid. I think it'll be Darkseid even younger than that. So I think you might see him in Uxas also. That being said, the Eternals is a movie Marvel's making. It's gonna come out, I think, in 2021 or something. But that's rumored to have young Thanos in it. So there's a few things they're trying with that as well, trying to show Thanos' backstory and what he was doing.
I think they won't. I think it won't be this aesthetic, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at
of course,
version. Because you could tell what Zach was trying to do was something.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, look,
just aesthetically.
yeah, I mean, in the design, you can see it, and you can compare the concept art as well. He's like a muscular guy, he's shirtless right now, right? So he's kind of like not in his full form, he's a kind of Darkseid who's not there yet. But even when he's not there yet, it takes all the Atlanteans, all the Amazons, all the humans, the Green Lanterns, who else? Every other person in the whole world to stop him. So it would have been a pretty sick battle. And obviously, remember when Justice League was about to come out, all the rumors were that, there's going to be a Lord of the Rings style sequence. Lord of the Rings style intro. Because if you have the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, the first sequence is all the elves, men, everyone working together to stop Sauron, and they beat him, They beat that version of Sauron, and then the story starts. And imagine Justice League would have started the same way. It would have started with all the tribes coming together to beat Darkseid, just like how they beat Sauron, and then Darkseid vows to come back one day, just like Lord of the Rings. So again, like there's a lot of parallels there. Character design is good. I mean, of course it's blurry, so you can't really tell, but he looks on level with his concept art, and man, it would have been a sick fight. Like I can think about just the visuals, like a Zack Snyder fight scene. He has that spear. It would have been sick. And I think someone else put this picture up, but you know how the Green Lanterns, they showed up in that sequence as well. But the way the ring moves, when the way it moves around,
it's the same visual effects as Omega.
It's exactly how Darkseid uses his beams.
So they switched it.
I think they switched it too. I think they switched a lot of things. I think that sequence was actually the Omega beams traveling to kill people. Yeah. So man, we would have missed out, man. And I'll pass it from that angle. Pass it, Umar. What do you guys think? What did you think about Darkseid, and what do you think about actually both?
Yo, this boy was about to pull up on everybody, son.
Dude, people weren't ready.
Kill everybody.
And for some reason, I mean, this is one of the things we think about why. Like, Joss Whedon, it's not his fault in the sense they didn't bring him. It's not like he thought of the idea to do it. Warner Brothers is the one that hired him to change it, right? So why would Warner Brothers look at the history lesson the whole like the sequence, and say, let's CGI Darkseid out. Let's put Steppenwolf back in this where Darkseid's standing, and let's just let it play again. But a much shortened version.
Simple answer, my friend. It was too violent, straight up. Zack Snyder, dude. The thing is, bro, he has a certain aesthetic that I think the studio, and I think Zack talked about it in his the Comic Con thing, SnyderCon, whatever.
Yeah.
He talked about how the studio. He talked about how there was another idea that he had, like him and Chris Terrio. My God, Chris Terrio. They wrote a script, and that script was never shot. And he said the hard. I mean, we know, but like, he said that the hard idea that he had was never.
Yeah.
He said a lot of it was, but most of it, a lot of it was, but a lot of it also wasn't. So, like, you could tell that the changes that were made, even like you could tell that it was probably too violent, or it was probably too much for.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
The audience that hated the movies anyways, and who ended up hating Justice League. That vocal minority of people that just don't, they can't get out of the MCU world, and MCU world is the only world and the only interpretation of, or the only tonal like interpretation in these movies. Like, that type of thing is what made this movie change behind the scenes.
I don't think it's just for changing Darkseid. I don't think it's just tone. I think the change is just to simplify the movie. Like, if you show Darkseid, but then Steppenwolf's in the present scene, and then people know where Darkseid is, and I guess just to simplify it for the audience goers, the general people who don't know these characters really, just keep Steppenwolf throughout. And obviously, it was a horrible decision because
I think most people didn't care anyways.
Yeah, and then why'd you why'd you remove all Cyborg scenes? Like, well, what was the gain from this? Like, what are you gaining from removing all Cyborg's moments?
They removed all the heart, man.
Dude, and he was hard. Like,
all the emotional beats.
Think about it. They took out the whole football sequence where his mom dies and everything. You see all that happen, play out there. You took out literally the moment where Silas Stone dies. He's been putting up a lot of Cyborg sequences, Vero.
In an attempt to dumb it down and make it more simplified, they took out the emotion.
They took everything that Cyborg does. They took out, and I think when you piece it together, that's what happened in the second Mother Box. Like, the second Mother Box is when Silas Stone almost like blows up with it.
Wait, wasn't he supposed to die in the?
Yeah, of course he dies in that movie. Yeah,
there you go.
And they took that scene out. Zack put the scene of him dying.
Yeah, he put a picture of the scene. Yeah, put a picture of the scene.
And in the theatrical version, that second Mother Box is the one that falls on the thing. He's like, on the car. He's like, and then Batman's like, Wonder Woman's like, oh, the Mother Box. It went away.
And it disappears. They
were so careless, dude. How did Justice League with Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman? They're so careless. They left.
I mean, we know what was actually supposed to happen in that scene.
I know, but I'm saying it's poor. It's a poor job. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird things where you look back and you're like, man, we could have had it all. And I tweeted this already. Like, we could have had a Justice League movie that had everything you wanted. And I'm talking about even things that the critics, like when we're saying, people who already hated Batman vs Superman. Well, you would have had a hopeful Superman because we saw the scene of him coming out of the ship within his costume. We saw him talking to Alfred, extremely hopeful with a smile on his face. Deleted those scenes. People wanted a redeemed Batman who doesn't kill. He was not going to kill in this movie. He was going to be redeemed. All right, you deleted that. Oh yeah, you deleted all the Lex Luthor scenes. Oh, you deleted all the Darkseid scenes. Oh yeah, you deleted all the Cyborg scenes.
All the Flash scenes.
Oh yeah, all the Flash time travel. Everything people wanted to see is gone. So what was even in the movie? They added the Russian family, and they added the cockroach spray, also part of the Russian family.
That's true.
So Umar, what do you think? What's better? What's better, Umar, the Russian family or Darkseid?
Joss Whedon. All the Flash stuff was Joss Whedon. Like almost every scene.
Yeah. So
except like the beginning of one of the scenes.
Umar, if you were like $1 million,
dude, what is brunch?
If you're an executive of Warner Brothers, what sounds more appealing, Dostoevsky or Darkseid?
Freaking Darkseid, obviously.
Dude,
honestly, I feel like with the more Zack puts up these pictures, it's kind of obvious that sooner or later, I think they're gonna see Warner Brothers is gonna see it and be like, "Yo, he's basically putting up the whole freaking movie."
Yeah, he's putting a lot of pressure on him. They have to address this.
Yeah, they have to address it sooner or later.
They
And
have to. As a studio, bro, you have to address this.
and they actually,
It's gonna push. Some directors are not gonna work with them. Like some, maybe yeah, and maybe they won't be like the Nolans or the James Gunn. Or I can't believe I put James Gunn in the same sentence. But
yeah,
like those type of directors, not that they're on the same level in any sense of the word, but because they know what happened. You know, like Zack Snyder probably told people, like his friends.
yeah,
And I think just the normal world needs something from Warner Brothers directly. And this is the problem I have with the studios. Like, you don't put out your statements. Like, when is the last time you heard, statement from Warner Brothers about DC films?
they don't. At least Marvel does.
Marvel does that, dude.
Yeah, Marvel does it every year,
does
dude.
that.
Yeah, they do it every year. They put their statements out.
You have to, because that takes away the whole idea of the press telling the world about, like Pattinson. We found out he's Batman through them. They didn't release a statement saying, "Oh, we have a new Batman, Robert Pattinson. We're excited."
Yeah.
None of that shit. Like, yo, you need. I don't know what the PR department's doing, bro.
Dude,
Yeah,
Marvel.
transparency.
I think yeah. Warner Bros. Are living in the old age, where like back then the old studios they don't like communicate with the fans like that. But Marvel in that sense changed the game where there is fan interaction, and like Kevin Feige, he does come out every year at Comic-Con or at D23 now. Now they moved to D23, Marvel's presentation, where they tell, this is the year, this is what's coming up, this is the next few years, this is our plan, this is, and you know what plans do? They reassure people. And the last time Warner Brothers gave the fans a plan was in 2014, okay? The year after Man of Steel came out, they gave a plan. They said, here's our slate, here's BVS, here's Justice League. Yeah, that was when Zack Snyder was running the show, and they gave the slate.
Because he had a plan.
And of that slate, the only movies that got made were outside of BVS and JL got destroyed. It was Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Shazam. Those three were on the slate that got made. But Flash didn't get made. Batman didn't get made. Batman's getting made now, but the Batman movie that was on the slate was the Ben Affleck Batman movie. Didn't get made. And I think there's something else on the slate that didn't get made either. But there was like a Cyborg film. That's also canned, obviously, now. So,
and guess what? The reason why those weren't made was because Zack Snyder was trying to do with those characters some very specific things with all of them. And notice how Superman, Man of Steel 2 was never on that list, because these movies were surrounding him. He was the heart of the movie.
Yep.
He was the heart of every movie. It was because of him. Of course, like Cyborg and all the other people would have their shine, obviously. But dude, Superman was the start of the whole universe, and Zack Snyder had a story in his head that was gonna be nuts, and as you say, it was too nuts. It was too nuts for the world to see. So
yeah, and unfortunately, we're never gonna see the full story now. But we do know some things. Like we understand that like when we said, there was the first draft which got canned, but the second draft we've seen enough from what Zack's putting that we can paint a picture. And we know confidently that the end of the movie of the Snyder Cut would have still been Superman's shirt rip. So it would have ended on a hopeful note. It would have been still been it wouldn't have a cliffhanger.
With a different speech.
With a different speech, obviously. I think Lois Lane's actual speech. Lois's actual speech was given in the one of the final promo things.
Yeah, surprisingly good marketing.
Yeah, and that was the best marketing. I was actually excited for the movie when that came out. But yeah, I think we're dwelling on the past, but really it's about the future and the future of the Snyder Cut. So, do you guys think we'll close it on this? I'll give it a Zion to close it with this thought. Do you think that the more Zack shows the spoilers of Justice League, now we saw Darkseid, we saw the Nightmare Sequence. The one thing he's never shown us yet, we haven't seen even one screenshot of Superman in black and white from his
we haven't
version.
seen Batman either.
Yeah, he has no. Yeah, he has no Batman either.
Not a single picture. If you look at his Vero, not a single picture of Bruce Wayne or Batman has been shown.
Or Superman. So he's hiding them.
But even then, he showed an older picture of Superman from Man of Steel.
And he showed old black Batman. And white. And he showed old Batman too.
He didn't show old Batman.
Yeah, he showed a year ago. He showed a Batman test screening when he was test screening Justice League costume on him.
I thought he showed Wonder Woman and Batman standing. Her standing behind him. That picture.
Yeah, I think that was shown too. Yeah, but nothing in Batman's costume. I think, but Superman definitely not. So which means, but the more he shows, at the point I'm going to make, Zion, quick question to you, the more he shows off Justice League. Do you think that he's doing it as almost there's a less chance of it coming out now, and he's just doing it to kind of give fans something, or is there a more chance and actually more pressure being done?
I think it's more chance, because I think he's making it very clear to everybody who cares and everybody who's watching that there is a lot of stuff done and there's a lot of content and footage and this is there. It's in the ether somewhere, and I think it's a way of him saying people should keep fighting for it, and it puts pressure on WWE. Also, the more noise this makes, the more pressure is on WWE to make a statement or do something about it. So I think this is him putting out more things. Obviously, great.
I
for us.
think he should just release the cut himself. He's basically releasing the whole freaking movie.
He kind of is. Like, at some point, it's like, what are you going to do? He said drop the
Exactly.
movie on Vero.
WBS say something about it.
But if you drop the movie on Vero, he would get
He
sued.
can't drop the movie, but
He would get sued if he did, but...
he can release like every single shot of the movie.
Yeah, honestly. He already did, basically. Not every shot, but he's releasing a lot of
He
loud
basically
shots.
released the whole idea of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, showing Darkseid is a big thing, you know? That's
It's
something
a
that
huge thing.
that's something that's been hidden for a very long time, like for 2 years now. For 2 years now, we haven't seen Darkseid. He just put it up now. I wonder if there's a reason he put it up now. Again, it's hard to say because, you know, if he was still working at WB, if he still had a contract, like his contract ended in December of 2018 with Warner Bros. That's why he signed with Netflix. But if his contract, if he renewed his contract with Warner Brothers, I would have said the chances of a Snyder Cut are very high because he's still working with the studio. But now he's not working with the studio.
I think if he was working with the studio, by 2 years later, it would have been announced that it was coming out.
Yeah, so the fact that he's not working with the studio anymore, he's left Warner Brothers, he left his office, he's working in the Stone Quarry office now, he's working with Netflix, it's a different world. So does that help or hurt the chances, Umar? What do you think?
Yeah, of course, like, it hurts a little bit because it kind of gives you a glimpse into maybe you know, he left for the mere fact that things just didn't work out behind the scenes. And honestly, you know, like, I know it's about movies and stuff, but you gotta think about this like really in a life standpoint. Like, this guy lost his daughter, you know, and for them to treat him the way they did, I don't know anybody that would have stayed, even if things went right. Like, yo, man, that's not right. Like,
Yeah,
to use that and stuff is just.
I think bridges were burned. I think it's safe to say. I mean,
Yeah,
for what it's worth, he's still getting paid. He's working on Wonder Woman. He's producer on that, not even executive producer. He's a regular producer, which is actually a high-level producer position. So he's still doing stuff.
Dude, he's gonna bury them because I'm telling you right now, I don't see, like, because the vision of the universe is not clear anymore. Every picture he puts up, bro, is gonna piss people off. That we could have had something similar to Marvel, but so different.
Yeah, you know,
and this would have been 1 year before Infinity War. So
listen, Justice League 2.
This would have made Darkseid.
Justice League, we were making jokes about it on Twitter, but Justice League 2's release date was a few days ago. Meaning, if everything went as planned, the four of us probably would have been watching Justice League 2 together for the second time right now, this weekend. This weekend would have been the opening weekend of Justice League. Remember? For Father's Day weekend.
Instead, we're watching Men in Black.
They purposely, we watched Men in Black, but they were purposely releasing Justice League 2 on Father's Day. Guess what? Batman or Superman's probably gonna have a kid with Lois Lane. You know, this company is gonna be probably gonna name his son Bruce. You know, and Bruce won't sacrifice himself. You know, there's something gonna happen in this movie. Justice League would have been it, but again, didn't happen. It's like an alternate world. But again, this would have been Justice League 2's release date, and that's why he's.
I think as fans, like, we can clearly say that this universe was going to be much better than what we're going to get now. Like, honestly. But it doesn't mean that what's coming now is like trash.
No, yeah, of course not. And again, like I said, Zack Snyder, for fans of Zack, who are, I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you either love Zack or you hate watching this podcast. I'm hoping if you hate watching it, your mind is changing. But if you do love Zack, you obviously want to know what his involvement is. He is a producer on Wonder Woman 1984. He is going to be executive producing Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Those are the only two movies at the moment he's involved in. Again, Suicide Squad is executive producer. He's not, but since he's a producer on Wonder Woman, that means probably he exchanged some notes with Patty, or he's been working on some level. I don't think directly anymore, especially with how bad the bridges were burned between the studio. But he's still, you know, his characters are still alive in Aquaman and in Wonder Woman. Those are his two characters, you know. And I'm sure, and unfortunately, Flash is going to be recasted 99%. Cyborg, even though he said at Comic-Con yesterday, at San Antonio Comic-Con, I think, he said that, you know, the door's not closed yet and that his story's not over yet. He might still be Cyborg again. But honestly,
why am I getting flashbacks of Ben Affleck saying he'd be an
honestly, I love Ray Fisher, but I think this is wishful thinking. I think there's no Cyborg movie coming out, so they're not going to use him. And then we already know Superman, that ain't happening, and Batman already got recasted. So in that sense, like, we talked about this on our Wonder Woman podcast, but the universe is quite different than what it used to be. But, you know, you always take your little gifts when they come, and we got to see Darkseid today. You know, like obviously we should have seen him 2 years ago in action, but the picture is kind of sick, and it gives a cool idea of what's to come. You know. So and that's pretty much it, guys. What do you think about the Darkseid picture? What do you think about Zack Snyder's vision? What do you think about Cyborg's role in this movie? Let us know in the comments below. From myself, from Zayon, from Umar, and from Samir, this is the Fruki Bros. We'll see you next time. Peace out.